Would you state your full name for the record, please?
Charlene Burks,
And how do you spell your last name?
B-U-R-K-S.
You are the custodian of attendance records for Miami-Dade County Public Schools?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Burks, have you ever had your deposition taken before?
Yes.
Now, have you ever had your deposition taken for this case?
No.
Have you ever had a sworn statement taken for this case?
No.
Have you ever been interviewed by anyone for this case?
Yes.
Who were you interviewed by?
The IG, the Inspector General's office, I think it's IG, in Dade County Public Schools. I don't remember the name.
Would that have been Mr. Ivy?
Possibly, I just don't remember.
Were you interviewed by the state attorney's office?
No.
And as custodian of attendance records, did you receive a subpoena regarding any records relevant to this case?
Yes.
And what records were those?
Any records I had in my possession about children, I believe.
And who was the subpoena from?
It was from an attorney.
Would that have been for this deposition?
It was from, I will tell you. I don't see the name.
Was it for your deposition
Yes.
here today?
Yes.
Okay, that would have been for me. I represent Ms. Reyes.
Okay.
Now, prior to your receiving the subpoena for this deposition, were any other records in your custody subpoenaed by anybody else?
No.
Were your records subpoenaed by the IG's office?
Not through, I did not receive a subpoena.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the district that's the custodian of the attendance records?
No, my office.
And as far as you know, your office was never subpoenaed for any attendance records?
As far as I know.
I don't know if it's within your area of expertise, but can you tell from the screen who changed something in that screen?
The initials of the person that changed it are on the screen.
Who is Yvette Stewart?
She works for me.
Were you interviewed, when you were interviewed by Mr. Ivy, were you put under oath?
I don't remember. I don't think so, but I don't remember.
When you were interviewed by Mr. Ivy, did you tell Mr. Ivy that during the FTE period, the school staff is locked out of the ISIS program?
It doesn't sound right.
Did you tell Mr. Ivy when he interviewed you that at the end of the school year, the school staff is again locked out of the ISIS program?
I don't remember what I told Mr. Ivy, but that sounds right.
What I got from that response was that once the school year ends, last day of school, attendance records can't be then gone back to and changed, correct, for that previous school year?
They cannot be changed by the school.
Right. So any changes that occur must have been done by your office, for example.
Yes.
And that's what you mean by locked out.
Yes.
Besides your office, is there any other individual or office, any other person within the Miami-Dade County School Board that would have the access to make those changes?
No.
So if there were any changes made to a student's attendance records after the fact, it would have had to have been done by someone in your office.
Yes.
You didn't make any changes to Aaron Nunez's records, did you?
No.
Now, Ms. Burke, when you were interviewed by Mr. Ivy, did you at any time consult the access screens for screeniness?
I do not remember.
So you did not notice that on July the 1st of 2009, on the same, let's track that on July 1st, 2009, changes had been made to Mrs. record?
Object to form?
Now that you say that, yes, I do remember.
Okay, what do you remember about that?
The Friday, I believe, and the Monday.
In 2009, July?
Yes.
What Friday and what?
No, the Friday and the Monday of the FTE week had blanks, were blank.
That would have been in February, correct?
Yeah.
Not July. There
I
is
don't
no,
know.
well, ma'am, you do know there's no FTE week in July, right?
There is an FTE week in July. I'm
There
saying,
isn't.
you asked me if in July I noticed anything. I'm saying in July, I noticed that the Friday and the Monday of FTE week had been marked as present.
Okay. Is there an FTE week in July?
Yes,
Okay, during the summer months?
yes,
Okay, that's for summer attendance.
yes.
But you know that's not enrolled in any school in Miami-Dade County during July of 2009, correct?
I don't know that.
Now, what I understood your answer just now to be is that when you looked at the screen in July, you noticed that something was amiss.
I didn't say that. I noticed it had been changed.
Okay, so when you looked at the screen in July, you noticed that there had been a change made for an FTE week previously.
Yes.
Okay. But what I'm asking was whether there was a change made for a July 1st date.
Oh, I don't know.
Do you recall what the changes were that you noticed?
The Friday of FTE week, February, and the Monday were no longer marked as absent, I believe.
I guess I'd like to mark this as petitioner's exhibit number 1 to this deposition. I'm going to give the deponent a copy.
Let me take a look at it first, sir.
I'm going to give you a copy of this, Councilman.
Okay, but the one you're handing her, may I take a look at it? Please?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna object to your using this exhibit unless you can identify whose handwriting is on the exhibit.
You can object, that's fine.
Well, I'm gonna object to you showing the witness a written document that has notes on it that were not in the original document.
Well, that's fine, Ms. Cousin. You can object. It'll be noted for the record. I just want to have the witness talk about that document as it is. I have a copy of it right here.
Okay, for the record, Mr. Lapiano has just shown the witness a record that has somebody's notation handwritten on the bottom giving her information that was not in the original record.
We will let the witness, I mean, I don't know.
You don't need to comment, that's my objection.
We'll let the witness talk about it.
We'll let the
Ms.
judge-
Burks, do you know what that document is?
It's the attendance correction form
Which attendance correction form?
for, Dr. Michael Crop Senior High School for February 9th and February 13th.
If you remember.
I believe it was, I don't remember. I'm not sure.
Okay, was this the document that was sent to you by who?
Okay. When Mr. Ivy interviewed us, he said that he was going to fax us a document, and he faxed us this.
Okay.
Okay.
But that wasn't the first time you had seen it, was it?
I think Mr. Ivy had a copy with him.
Okay. But where was the original?
We don't receive originals, we receive faxes in our office. We keep that in electronically.
Okay, so this was faxed to your office at some point?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know why it was faxed to your office?
Attendance corrections were made, needed to be made to the student, and the only way to make them is through this form for those dates.
Would you look at the exhibit that has been provided to you by Mr. Lapiano? And please note whether it has a fax transmission
Yes,
date. Can you please relate what that fax transmission date is?
July 28th, 2010.
And do you recognize the handwriting that is on the bottom of that form?
No,
And that's not a notations that would be included in the original form, correct?
I have a copy of the original form, I can look.
Okay. I'm asking you whether you know if the original form contains those notations.
I don't know.
And also, does the fax transmission line indicate where it was faxed from?
Yes,
And where was it faxed from?
Miami-Dade County Public Schools, OIG.
And it was faxed to your office.
Yes,
And prior to July 28, 2010, you didn't have a copy of this record in your possession, correct?
Object to form.
no, incorrect.
So then explain why the OIG's office had to fax it to you.
I have no idea.
Now, you indicated that when Mr. Ivy interviewed us, who was the us?
Yvette Senior Stewart and myself.
And do you recall the date of that interview?
No,
Was that the same date that Mr. Ivy picked up records from your office?
I didn't know that he picked up records.
I'm going to show you what I'm going to mark as respondents exhibit. I don't think we have previous exhibits of this witness. I'm going to call it respondents 1. I'm just going to take a look at it and see if you recognize that document.
I've never seen this before.
Do you recognize what type of document it is?
Yes,
And do you recognize the handwriting on the bottom?
the bottom left,
Yes. Bottom right.
the signature?
Yes, ma'am?
Yes,
And is that signature dated?
yes.
And would that have been the date that Mr. Ivy met with you?
Object to form.
And Yvette Senior Stewart?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Do you note the notation on the bottom left of the page?
Yes,
And you were not aware that Mr. Ivy picked up information or documents in person?
I don't remember.
Okay. But that could have been the date that you met with him.
Object to form.
I don't remember.
Is there anything that you remember that confirms that that was not the date that you met with him?
Object to form.
No,
So June 29th could have been, but you don't know the date that you met with him.
correct.
And that would have been June of 2009, correct?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. And sitting here today, you have no explanation why Mr. Ivy, who met with you and obtained records in June of '09 from your office, would faxing to your office over a year later a form that you maintain in your records, correct? What has been marked as petitioner's 1.
Correct.
I don't have anything further.